I went to Granada, and in the centro artistic of that city, I gave my first concert. It happened in 1909. I was 16 years old. The review of my concert next day opened a new world before me. I decided to be the apostle of the guitar. I put a firm foot on land and began to walk toward my future. I took myself to Sevilla. Sevilla, what a subtle physical well-being a traveler feels when he enters that city of grace. Before his eyes begin to see, or his ear to hear, such a strong sense of the joy of living invades him that his heart frisks like a colt. I need hardly say that the first person to whom I offered my respects was Mr. de Montis, the young aristocrat. He gave me a warm welcome and fulfilled the cordial offers he had made to me in Cordova. He gathered in his house the most distinguished musicians in Sevilla and a few friends from his aristocratic world. And I, with that irresistible desire to convince that dominates any young artist, played and played for a long time. Amongst the guests of Mr. Montis, I made two new friends that were to remain dear to me for the rest of my life. They were two magnificent painters, Gustavo Vacarisas and Miguel del Pino. The latter, a very keen amateur of music, has been a loyal confidant of all the ups and downs, all the conflicts of my artistic and personal life. And I do not say my counselor, for I am like that slight Andalusian who replied to whom would give him advice, "Pardon, don't try to advise me. I would rather make my own mistakes." When I went to get my overcoat before leaving, I found in the buttonhole of my lapel a beautiful red carnation. The little hand of Maria, Mr. de Montis' younger sister, had put it there. She had not wanted to be present among those who had come to hear me, and had listened alone from an adjoining room. That flower was her applause. She herself told me so when I went back to the house. I was instantly captivated by the picaresque charm of her Sevillan face, her exaggerated way of expressing herself, her ascending and descending chromatic laugh, her Andalusian saints, and I don't know how many other delightful things. Looking at her, I would recall that song which seemed to have been inspired by her. ¿Con qué te lavas la cara que tan rebonita estás? Me lavo con agua clara y Dios pone lo demás. With what washest thou thy face, that it becomes so pretty? I wash it with clear water, and God does the rest. I remained in Sevilla for a year. When her family became aware of our affection for each other, they demanded that we should conduct ourselves like officially declared sweethearts. That is, we would have to converse through the gratings of her window rather than directly. The iron bars of the Andalusian window draw two people together more than they separate them, but maternal prudence pretends to be unaware of this. I remained enslaved by the beautiful black eyes of my charming Maria. Señor alcalde mayor, no prenda usted a los ladrones, porque tiene usted una hija que roba los corazones. Honorable Mr. Mayor, do not arrest all the thieves, for your own daughter is a thief of hearts. Sevilla punished me severely for my overlong stay in their midst. The recital I gave in the house of Mr. de Montis was followed by other concerts, public and private, to the number of 15. The music on my guitar seemed to charm the hospitable people of that city and to move their hearts. Local poets dedicated to me their verses, and ladies their smile. But when after a year I tried to give 2 more concerts, I realized that the public has lost interest in me. Remarked, making merry over my discomfiture, no one was present at Andres' first concert, and at the second, the public diminished even more. After this negative and sad experience, I decided to depart to Madrid. When there, one of the first things I did was to go to the workshop of the famous guitar maker, Manuel Ramirez. This took place in the year 1912. I told Mr. Ramirez, I arrived in Madrid a few days ago to give a recital at the Ateneo, and if I have good luck, other public concerts. The guitar I am using was made in Granada, and its childlike confidential tone makes it suitable only for solitary study. I should like you to let me take the best one you have made recently, and please fix a moderate sum as rental for the instrument, just as the music stores do when they rent concert pianos. I will pay you in advance. Ramirez seemed to be listening to me with pleasure. My dear, he exclaimed, up to now nobody ever asked me such a thing. But it is perfectly logical. If they rent pianos, why shouldn't somebody rent a guitar? And opening the gate in the counter, he invited me to pass through. He gave me a guitar, and I could see at once that it was a masterpiece. I looked at it for a long time before awakening its resonances. The grace of its curves, the delicately worked ornamentation around the exactly placed sound hole, the neck stemming straight and slim from the austere bust. In short, all of its features and lines of its graceful body penetrated my heart as deeply as the features of a woman who, predestined by heaven, suddenly appears before a man to become his beloved companion. My whole being was seized by a profound happiness as I began to play the guitar. I forgot everything but her. So great was my joy that I tried to divide myself into 2 beings, that I might at the same time have the active pleasure of creating music on such a magnificent instrument, and the passive pleasure of listening to it as though it had been created by another apart from me. I realized that this guitar was the perfect tool with which to fulfill my artistic destiny. I lifted my head to beg Ramirez not to delay in letting me have it, but stopped as I became aware of the presence of an old gentleman, attractive and vigorous in appearance, who seemed like some romantic minstrel out of an earlier age. He had listened to me in silence and said, "Bravo, young man. I like your temperament, your expressive gift, and your technical facility. What a pity that such ability should remain sterile on the tiny island which is the guitar. Beautiful instrument if you wish, but lonely and uncultivated. One where no talent seeks a home, and where you will exile yours. You are young. The violin will make you famous. Coming closer to me," he added in a warm and serious tone, "I shall give you any help you may need." Ramirez intervened with a solemn mien and said in an important tone, "Young man, the gentleman who is addressing you is professor in the highest violin class at the Royal Conservatory." I rose to greet him. With respect and restrained emotion, I said to him, "Thank you, maestro. I am afraid it is late for me to change to another instrument. Besides, I assure you that I could never betray my guitar. She needs me, the violin doesn't." The professor then spoke these final words, "It is a hard road you have chosen. I only hope you won't lose heart." I turned toward Ramirez to express my desire to take possession without any further delay of the guitar, but there was no time to speak, for Ramirez, sensing my eagerness, in a burst of generosity declared, "The guitar is yours, young man. Take it with you throughout the world, and may your labors make it fruitful. For the rest, don't worry. Pay me without money." I put my arms out to embrace him, my eyes full of tears. And I said, with a voice so broken that my words could hardly be heard, "This is one of those acts that have value but no price."